Hello, my name is Frenetica, and today we're talking about Hybe's AI takeover and what this means for your favorite K-pop star. Is that what I think it is? That slightly uncanny off-kilter look, that is generative AI. And it's not just a one-off experiment. It's a sign of something much bigger happening at Hybe. And if you are anything like me, seeing AI creep into the art that you love, well, it kind of breaks your heart because this isn't just about cool visuals. It has potentially massive consequences for the environment, for data privacy, and maybe even for your favorite artists. I am going to show you why this AI wave is not only going to get bigger, but how it started years ago. Disclaimer. I am extremely critical of AI, and the commentary and opinions reflect that in this video essay. But the facts I research are just facts. Second, Hybe is not the only music conglomerate going into AI. Sony, UMG, etc. are also venturing into AI. Lastly, please leave artists out of it because I view that this is an issue about a company and the market and their shareholders, not about the artists making those decisions. Please don't hate me, Yoongi, for talking bad about Hybe. And again, I have a bad feeling about AI. And I dislike AI. And I have ethics around AI that are mine. Okay? But if you're someone that is invested in AI, then I guess this is good information for you. The problem. AI in Hybe. You might have seen a Weaver's announcement about AI translations and AI live audio enhancements. You may have seen the video using generative AI to animate a portrait of Mona Lisa. You may have heard of Midnight that released an album that entirely recorded tracks on different languages using AI. As someone aware of AI's catastrophic consequences for the environment, human labor, human rights, and its use of pirated data to train large language models, it kind of broke my heart seeing the use of generative AI in one of my favorite artists. And the fact is, we can only expect Hybe to include AI more brazenly in the future. And here's why. Part 1. The money trail. Why is Hybe pushing AI? To understand that, we need to rewind a little bit. It all starts with one word. Money, and more specifically, going public. Back in May 2020, Big Hit Entertainment, as it was still known back then, applied for a pre-initial public offering consultation. When a private company goes public for the first time, an investment bank has to determine how much a share of that company would cost on the public market. Think of a public company as a whole pie, and a share is just a slice of that pie that you are able to purchase. And purchasing that share would allow you to earn from the earnings of the whole pie. On October 15, 2020, Big Hit Entertainment debuted on the South Korean stock market. According to Billboard, the company raised 963 billion won, that was $840 million back then, in its initial public offering on the Korea Exchange. When a company goes public, that company receives benefits and obligations. The benefit is that they are able to raise large amounts of money by selling their stocks, a part of the company. And Hybe saw the benefits immediately. As Billboard reported, they raised about $840 million. This allows the company to grow and to rely less on debt and creditors. Now, why does this matter to you as a K-pop fan? Imagine your favorite K-pop group is about to embark on a global tour. The price of booking and setting up the logistics of that tour is extremely expensive. Tours are risky but lucrative businesses. If the tour does not sell, then you are left with a possible multi-million-dollar debt. But if it does sell out, the company would have made a multi-million-dollar revenue. A private company would need to go into debt to book the whole tour, but a public company is able to raise that money for their shares and their shareholders. They can even access loans at a much lower interest rate than any private company would, because they are leveraging their shares against the loan. For Big Hit Entertainment, it would allow them to book any worldwide tour for their artists. They could debut more K-pop groups. They could invest in better producers. They could even enter a market that they hadn't entered before. Or they could influence an American market, a market that was very hostile to BTS. The influx of the money raised comes with its obligations. The company has a fiduciary duty to act in the best interest of their shareholders. Quote, a public company must answer to its shareholders. Shareholders elect a board of directors. Think of a public company like a country, and the shareholders are like its citizens. Citizens in a public company pay to buy a share, and in return, they expect the company to act on their best interests. And like a country has a duty to protect its citizens and ensure their rights, a public company has the duty to protect their shareholder values, progress, and money invested. So, before Big Hit went public, their objectives were to generate revenue for its private owners. They achieved that goal by making good music, selling albums, going on tour, etc. But when Big Hit Entertainment went public, their priorities kind of shifted. I mean, in theory, their priorities and their objectives would stay the same. They would have to generate revenue for their shareholders. But shareholders' ethical and monetary values are tied to the market. I know this is a lot of economics information. Just bear with me. It makes sense in relationship to AI. Professor of Strategy and Sociology at UCLA comments on the disadvantages of going public. Quote, the disadvantage, of course, is the reporting requirements to the SEC and the short-termism of the market. There's much more pressure on a quarter-to-quarter basis to show some kind of progress than you would get with private investors. But how does AI come into the picture? As a K-pop fan, you might think all this business talk is boring, but it has impact on your favorite artists. On January 27th, 2021, Big Hit Entertainment announced that one of their subsidiaries, BENX, the company behind V-Live, would collaborate with Naver. They were going to, quote, create a new global fan community platform that integrates the users' content and services of Weverse and V-Live. On February 24th, 2021, Big Hit Entertainment announced a 4 billion won investment in Supertune. That is about $3.5 million. Supertune is a Korean-based AI company that, quote, specializes in creating hyper-realistic voices using technology. The startup claims to use, quote, innovative voice technology that empowers industries and content creators to push the boundaries of creativity. With our cutting-edge solutions, anyone can speak and be heard in the voice that they want. These moves were one of the first that Big Hit made that signaled to their new shareholders that they were changing strategies. Big Hit Entertainment was prioritizing the business of tech, including cutting-edge technologies like AI, a technology that by 2021 was miles behind what we are seeing today in 2025. But in the eyes of investors, AI was projected to be the new tech frontier. On March 10th, a month after their original investment on AI company Supertune, Big Hit Entertainment announced its restructuring. At a shareholders meeting, they announced that, quote, Big Hit Entertainment will change its name from Big Hit Entertainment to Hybe. Bang Si-Hyuk said of the rebrand, quote, I felt the need of a new company name that could encompass all of the business's realms that we carry out and be a symbol for our expanding structure. The Korea Herald explained, quote, in terms of organizational structure, Hybe will operate on 3 pillars they named as labels, solutions, and platforms. It is important to note that the reason for the rebrand was because Big Hit had already invested so much in tech and they needed to restructure the company to rebrand themselves. Part 2, Hybe, the tech company. What you need to understand now is that Hybe is not a record label. Hybe has become a parent company to a variety of companies in its portfolio. Imagine Hybe being a bee colony. A queen bee's job is to produce enough eggs for the bees to thrive. That is Hybe. And Hybe has 3 divisions: labels, platforms, solutions. These divisions are the working bees. They have to go out and create enough pollination for the creation of honey so that new bees and the queen bee can thrive. These 3 divisions, labels, platforms, solutions, gather the different subsidiaries under similar business niches. Think of it like sorting apples from oranges to pineapples. So, the TLDR is that the labels division is where the music labels reside. That is where the music is being made. And this is the division where the most recognizable subsidiaries to a casual K-pop listener reside. The other 2 divisions, platforms and solutions, are tech-based divisions, sort of. Platforms holds Weavers, and solutions holds, drumroll please, Supertune. It also holds other companies like Scooter Braun Projects and Big Machine Records. About a year after their first investment, Hybe fully bought Supertone. Quote, K-pop juggernaut Hybe has acquired artificial intelligence sound startup Supertune for about 45 billion won. That is about $31.5 million at the time. After investing 4 billion won to acquire 18% of the stake in the startup last year, recently signed a deal to buy out Supertone, well known for its technology to create hyper-realistic voice that can sing. In this rebrand, Hybe's ethos would remain, we believe in music. But its business is not just music. Hybe is a company that only 1/3 of its pillars encompasses the making music. The other 2/3 of the pillars are primarily, though not entirely, technology-based. I would argue that the ethos of Hybe in this structure is to be a technology conglomerate whose niche is music and content. Think of Spotify. Spotify is a technology company whose business is in music streaming. Now, as a quick intermission, I just reviewed the Q1 earnings of 2025, and the majority of Hybe's income still comes from artist-related endeavors. That is about 45% of their income for Q1. And I speculate that the majority of the income comes from labels and from solutions, which solutions also handles the concerts, IP, and the contracts with like fashion brands. And only 23% of their income was, from what I could see, platform-based. So still the majority of the income comes from artist-related activities, but there is a trend for Hybe to stop relying so much on artist-related activities. The tech sector has dominated the stock market for a while now, and the power of tech has only grown exponentially. In theory, if you invest in tech, you are more likely than not to receive a higher return on your investment. Part 3, Hybe and American Tech. In addition to managing its subsidiaries, Hybe also invests in other companies, either by joint ventures, by buying a part of a stake in another company, or in seed money investments. Here's a list of some of Hybe investments. In January 2021, Hybe invested 70 billion won in YG. In 2024, Hybe partnered with UMG through its subsidiary Geffen. This collaboration debuted the global girl group Cat's Eye. Hybe acquired 2.4% of Netmarble, a Korean gaming developer, in 2024. On April 1st, 2021, Hybe acquired Ithaca Holdings for a total of $1 billion. Ithaca's holding used to be Scooter Braun's parent company, which in itself had subsidiaries like SB Projects and Big Machine Label Group. Quote, the acquisition is the latest in a series of expansion-minded moves for Hybe, which invested $3.6 million in an AI voice company, Supertune, in February, following a $63.2 million investment in Seoul-headquartered Kpop agency, YG Entertainment. But the entity's most recent plays have reflected a clear-cut desire to achieve a larger presence in the United States. Many fans speculated that the acquisition was strategically made to enter and viably compete in the American market, and I agree with that. Gave them not just access to some of the most successful American artists like Justin Bieber or Ariana Grande, but it also gave them access to a man of many connections, Scooter Braun. This acquisition was equal parts investment and executive talent recruitment. But there is a third reason this acquisition made sense for Hybe. According to Ithaca's holding website, the company is invested in the following businesses: Coinbase, OpenAI, Scale AI, Grok, Discord, Current, a fintech company, Spotify, Zoom, Dropbox, Twitter, now called as X, Roblox, Vice AI, an asset management platform, and With Maps, a cannabis-focused platform. Therefore, Hybe, as a whole, is also invested in Coinbase, OpenAI, Scale AI, Grok, Vice AI. Furthermore, the now CEO of Hybe America, Scooter Braun, is himself invested in an incubator called TQ Ventures that funds over 20 AI startups. All of these investments pioneer a tech-focused and AI-first investment. Remember, when it was still named Big Hit Entertainment, invested in AI back in 2021, and that investment focus continued to flourish in South Korea and now in America through Scooter Braun and Ithaca Holdings. Hybe was an early adapter of the AI trend. This signals to investors that Hybe has the ability to read the market and predict when to make good investments. The investment in Supertune back in 2021 was way cheaper than it would have been in today's AI boom of 2025. And in theory, this offers a well-balanced investment strategy to one's portfolio, merging aspects of tech AI in companies like Supertune and their indirect investment through Ithaca Holdings of OpenAI and other AI companies, and social media platforms like Weverse, gaming platforms in their roosters. They also have entertainment IPs and the content/music business for an investor who is not concerned by ethical and environmental problems that AI poses. This is one of the smartest strategies to be investing on. Unfortunately, for someone like me, Hybe is deeply invested in both AI and the blockchain technologies. These tech businesses overuse resources like water. In a moment where water shortages are crucial, these companies steal data from artists, and its main focus is to replace human labor. Quote, tech giants, including the likes of Microsoft and Alphabet-owned Google, have recently reported a substantial upswing in their water consumption, and researchers say one of the main culprits is the race to capitalize on the next wave of AI. During the latest AI boom, AI needs to prove that its technology will be profitable for its investors. Last year, OpenAI lost $5 billion despite raising an incredible amount of money from private investors. This means that all the AI investments need to start working, and fast. AI needs to generate revenue now. Neural networks need to show that they can mimic the human brain. Machine learning needs to be made lean and deeper. Computer vision needs to generate good enough images to be sold and make money. And this is where Hybe comes in. Hybe has invested big in AI, and now AI needs to show its profitability for Hybe and Hybe's shareholders. What this means for you as a K-pop fan is that Hybe shareholders are expecting a return on Hybe's investments. Weverse has started implemented a subscription model, which I speculate is driven not only by the need to make money from Weverse, but also to show earnings from Weverse investments in AI, like its tools for language translation, live audio, and its partnering of Doubly's AI system. Last year, Si-Hyuk released an album with his alter ego name Midnight, and it was an AI-focused album using the capabilities a company like Supertune would give. Hybe has a pressure to show that they can be profitable even without BTS. Hybe needs to show that they are at the forefront, not only investing in AI, but also of implementing AI in whatever form that is, generative AI or not, into their company. This is a signal to investors to invest more in Hybe. And what better place to advertise the use and AI forward thinking than in one of their biggest stars' music video. Again, I'm not saying that Hybe is not paying attention to music, and I'm not saying that they're not paying attention to their artists. I think they are. Their main revenue is still their artists. I'm just saying that Hybe is also heavily invested in AI, and therefore there will be more AI coming in the future. I'm going to quote one of Hybe's own letter to fans. Quote, "The main source of revenue in the entertainment industry has typically come from artists releasing albums, holding concerts, and in part selling related merchandise. For these reasons, the artist's active participation was essential to the field as a whole. We at Hybe began to question this approach," meaning, and this is Andrea commenting, meaning they began to question the approach of artists' active participation. Quote, "Hybe is now ready to take the next step with its solutions division. With a rapid pace of change in technology, once again comes a change in the way fans interact with artists and the music. Interactive communication and the connection it leads to are increasingly important in the metaverse era." And this is me commenting. The metaverse has been like a failing business for a while now. Quote, "We are also seeing an ever-increasing trend of people communicating in virtual worlds using NFT, an application of the blockchain technology." Again, this is me commenting. Andrea from the future. The blockchain has massively failed in the market. Quote, "With the new businesses in Hybe Solution divisions, the original story businesses, OSB, and the game and NFT businesses, we aim to keep ourselves ahead of the curve and always focused on the fans. Where content was once consumed via LPs and later cassette tapes, CDs, streaming, and video, we believe the next extension will be to NFTs." I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because NFTs have failed. Quote, "The main takeaway for Hybe, we realized that it was becoming less effective to ideologically align our company as being either in the content business or the tech business, and that every division has to fully internalize their capacity to use technology." End quote. It is very notable to read a letter from 2021 that focused so much on the power of NFTs and how it was going to be the next frontier in entertainment. NFTs is now a failing business model, in part because of the many scams it facilitated. Quote, the average price of an NFT fell from $1,500 in early 2021 to just $600 by mid-2022. And as the AI boom continues, more and more people, including myself, see its parallels to the early 2000 dot-com bubble burst, which resulted in a total of $5 trillion losses. Whether the AI bubble burst or not, and it might not because companies like OpenAI are opting for funding that is not public funding, the fact remains that Hybe is heavily invested in AI. And AI is, in my opinion, catastrophic for its use of water resources, for its plans to replace human labor, for its pirating of data, and for the potential of misuse in scams, in deep fakes. I mean, I could go on and on. And because of these heavy investments in AI, Hybe will continue to use AI in its content, music, and artist businesses. My name is Frenetica. I make video essays on music, the music business, art, philosophy, and politics, and whatever the heck I would like to make. If you're interested, please subscribe. It honestly means the world to me. And last year, I wrote an essay for school about Nietzsche's theory of language and AI. Is that something you would be interested in hearing? Until next time, remember to be excellent to one another.